Hello, everyone. Hi. Good evening. Good afternoon. Welcome to UROC. You're silly. It is a joy to be here. When Heidi and Lauren asked me to participate in this, my mind went back, and I started thinking about how, as a young bride, I walked in this area. And to put that in context, I've been married 39 years to a U of M graduate. And so, as a young bride, I walked in this area, and I walked over to Lucille's kitchen to get some fried chicken. Let the church say amen, which is now where Lauren's office is. And then one day I decided I would cook my husband, again, the U of M graduate, a nice meal. And I still, for those of you that can speak French, that wasn't what I did, Quavon, something like that, but chicken with wine sauce, those of you. And so I walked over at Staten's liquor store, and he helped me get the right kind of wine, but apparently it didn't work, because when I spent all day making this chicken and wine sauce, my husband at that time, and still is, but he almost didn't make it after that, went over to the cabinet and got some Tabasco sauce. Amen. He got some Tabasco sauce, and I said, well, why would you do that? In tears, all drama. And he said, I learned it from Professor Labuza's nutrition class, that anything your wife cooks and you add Tabasco sauce in it will be better. Now, I still don't believe that, but anyway, he fixed up my chicken and wine sauce that I had really gotten the chicken from King's grocery store, and I think we're about standing in the midst of King's grocery store about right now, so I would make the walk over here because it was important. But one day, after coming back, after being married and working with issues of community engagement, I had the opportunity to walk into Dr. McLaren's office, and she showed me what would now be these towels on the floor. Now, I went to talk to her about the pervasive nature of HIV/AIDS ravaging our country and certainly North Minneapolis, but she said in good old girlfriend terms, wait a minute, let me tell you about what's going to be on the floor. And so I looked at the floor, and we did the girlfriend thing about, ooh, that's going to be so nice. And she began to lay out a vision about who she thought should walk in UROC. You see, I had walked in King's, I had walked and got some wine, I had walked and got some chicken, but Dr. McLaren started talking about that one day our community will walk on these towels. And what she hoped would happen is that they would walk, is that they would have this intrinsic connection to the University of Minnesota, and that they could one day perhaps break the belief barrier that they can walk on over to the U, and that they could walk through issues of participatory research and action research, so that in fact they could not only collaborate with the University of Minnesota, but they could teach the University of Minnesota something, all right? And that they could walk, and now that they are considered assets, and they could walk through 12 different engagements that the University of Minnesota is living and breathing in North Minneapolis. And what I pray, what I consider, what I ask you is to keep walking. It's important that this is a partnership, and it's a partnership that the University of Minnesota has invested in, but it is a partnership that this community has invested in as well. And so saying that, we are now co-collaborators, co-teachers, co-investors in making a better world. And so Dr. McLaren, we're going to keep walking, and some days it's going to be a little difficult, but as I said to Ross the other day, we are committed to staying at the table and walking together. So I would say, like my great-grandma said, keep walking together, children, and what? Don't you get weary. Amen.
Good afternoon. I should have known better. I'm so happy to see all of you here today. Community Day is my favorite day because the community walks through the door and it's exactly what you say. It's like the promise is being kept. Yeah. And it's about understanding that this is an investment on both the community's and the university's part, and that it's working, and that it's a great thing, and that we just need to keep it going. But having said that, I want to continue to talk about the promise that was made originally when the vision of UROC came to North Minneapolis, and the hard-fought fight that the community and the university together fought in order to make this something real. And that is that, UROC is talked about in two different terms a lot. I hear this, that we're an anchor institution and that we're place-based. And both of those descriptions speak to the two words that you see, I think they're behind me, accountability and transparency. In a lot of the literature that we talk about anchor institutions, there's often this focus on being an economic driver. So the university is an economic driver, and it should be. But there are other important ways that the institution acts as an anchor, particularly place-based organizations where we are placed and our neighbors in and live in a community. The UROC model places at the core of our work partnerships. And there's a reason for that. It's because we have learned that partnership is what sustains the work when everything else around it is changing. At the university, we've for some time, I've been an academic that long. I graduated in 99, 2000 I was on tenure track, 2005 I was tenured, so you can see it hasn't been that long. But I have learned this about the university from the time I've been, from grad school to what I do now. And that is that we talk a lot about interdisciplinarity. We talk a lot about multidisciplinarity. And now the term I hear a lot is transdisciplinarity. And this is the university struggling with, in a very good way, the ideas that we know that it's because we live in disciplines and departments. As academics, that's the world that we live in, disciplines and departments. And I have to remind myself on a daily basis, that's not the way the rest of the world looks at the world. And particularly, communities don't live that way. And we as academics sometimes have trouble breaking those very strong boundaries as the way that we describe what we do and how we work. But what academics and communities have in common is the understanding that real-world challenges are more likely to be successfully tackled through multiple approaches, bringing together the gifts and expertise from many corners of understanding. For this reason, as an idea and in action, UROC will only succeed by working in sustained partnership. Our mission and vision states that we work with mutual respect and mutual benefit in vital partnership with urban communities. In year 4, the challenge is not in how we talk about these ideals, but how we act on them. So to tell those with whom we work that we are transparent is not the same as being transparent. Talking about accountability is not the same as demonstrating accountability. And if we are not in the business of both, we cannot count on partnerships to sustain us. Having said that, let me tell you briefly about 3 UROC and community projects. One example from each of the 3 community designated areas of health and wellness, education and lifelong learning, and community and economic development, the 3 areas identified by the community as they said, if you're coming here, here's the work we want you to do. And these examples demonstrate different kinds of partnerships, but all of them are sustained by leveraging the gifts and expertise of our collective communities and seek to be transparent and accountable. So the first example is the Northside Achievement Zone. The Northside Achievement Zone, which is a Promise neighborhood, is a collaboration of organizations and schools partnering with families in a geographic zone of North Minneapolis to prepare children to graduate from high school ready for college and to be successful in college and to have careers after college. This is an example of how UROC collaborates with a community-driven initiative. And we're involved in multiple ways, particularly with our Center for Early Education Development. The Family Academy is coming through that organization. They're working with NAS on the evaluation process, and they're helping us put together what they call their plans for how we get these kids through. There's a new partnership that was just created with NAS and Kwanzaa Church, and I hope it's okay if I say this because I'm so excited about it, which is called the 21st Century Middle School Academy. It's going to be a remarkable project. We just had a great meeting with Pastor Alika and with Ross Roholt from the School of Social Work, who will be going to be working on this, and there's more to come. So every day, there's something new, there's something building, and this is all because of a community-driven initiative that we want to partner and support on. The second example is our Northside Job Creation Team. This is an initiative that was it's being driven by UROC, but it's being driven because of our partnership with a community leader who came to UROC and the university and said, we need jobs in North Minneapolis. Jobs is what gives people hope. You need to help us with this. What can we do? So, and we're partnering, and by the way, I don't think he's here today. I haven't seen him, but I have to give a shout out to our partner, Bill English, who is really driving this economic development piece with us. But we're working with state and county and city government, local economic development organizations, the Carlson School of Management, the in RRI, you knew I'd forget what it is, right? It's Natural Resources Research Institute at University of Minnesota Duluth. Thank you, Martin. And with excellent advice, amazing advice from local philanthropy or funding organizations. So we've talked with United Way, McKnight, the McKnight Foundation, Pillsbury. The goal is to bring jobs, actual jobs to North Minneapolis. So how we're doing this is the Carlson Consulting Enterprise, groups of students overseen by faculty are doing deep dives in what we call feasibility studies. We look at it, there's a fit for a business, and then we sort of try and help build a pathway. We actually have a business already that's interested in coming here. We're looking at the next 18 months, knock on wood, and everything works out well. Our great friends at the city and the state and the county are helping with this. They're looking at the next 18 months bringing 105 jobs to North Minneapolis. Yes. And we think this is going to happen if everything goes well, so put your positive thoughts out to the energy. Already this employer has hired 12 new people for his company that's located elsewhere, people from North Minneapolis, because he's planning on the business coming here. So I'm overwhelmed. It couldn't be done with all of these people working on it. We have 2 more phases to that study. My voice is going to go soon, so forgive me. I have a little beg. There's a middle and a long-term goal for this jobs creation team, and we the funding came from the university to begin with, but I am here to announce today, and we're so excited that we're working with the Northside Funders Group, who will help take us to the next step. So Tawana, thank you very much. We really appreciate that funding. The last example is our trauma recovery project, and I want to read this, so forgive me. Initiated by our spring critical conversation on trauma, faith, and healing with the Tutu sisters, this is a very unique partnership, and it involves an intentional gathering process of learning to work from many perspectives on the most difficult topics. I'm writing a paper right now and have a quote from Nancy Zimfer that says, we've looked at a lot of urban ways that we can improve things, and what we found out, it wasn't another program. What it was a process that we needed to get and understand. So the difficult topics include the impact of sex trafficking on the health of a community, the historic trauma of family mental health, and violence prevention. So we're building a dynamic engagement around this that involved multiple groups. Our trauma recovery project includes Youth Price, North Point, the Health and Wellness Center, I can't tell you how many faith community leaders, researchers from the Institute for Child Development, Children, Youth, and Family Consortium, and many others. And this is a process of coming together to talk about how do all of these different points of view talk about something as difficult as trauma. And I can't tell you how excited I am that people are willing to take this step-by-step process. The next thing I wanted to just announce to you is that sometimes we get requests from the community, and so at one of our gatherings one day, it was over a year ago, I have to admit, the community said, can't we go somewhere and just see what you guys do? And we said, sure, go to our website. Oh, wait, it's not really very good. So what happened was we worked with the Office of Public Engagement and Communications and figured out a way to say, here are some of the projects that are currently here. We will keep it updated. We'll tell you what area people are working in. We'll tell you if it's research or outreach. And I want to show you this because I want you to know, I just mentioned 3 projects that the UROC staff is participating in. There's multiple programs going on out there, and I can give you UROC by the numbers. So, we've been documenting our partnerships. It's a slow process, but we think it's worth the time that we're taking. And currently, we're mapping where those projects are taking place. If they're projects partnering with government or with local organizations or with other large funding organizations. And currently, I have to read the numbers, we have 45 documented projects, partnerships, 22 are research, 29 outreach. The reason the numbers don't match is because some consider themselves both. This is probably, I would say, conservatively half. I think we have about half more to document in terms of the work we're doing, and that's in a very short period of time. So people are really doing a lot of work. The other thing is the use of the building, and I have to tell you that UROC is 2 different things. It's the work that we're doing in vital partnerships, but it's also about this incredible facility. It's about the fact that we have a place that people can come, that people feel is a neutral space, a convening space, and it couldn't be any of this without Wilkie Freeman, who is our building, our Assistant Director, Building Facilitator. We average 18 meetings a week and more than 2,000 people coming through the building. I can't believe that. I had to read it again, a month. So we get very heavy traffic. All of this speaks well to where the future of UROC is going. It's really just a matter of how many more partnerships can we build, how many more people can we get invested in transparency, in partnership, in accountability. It is a very particular way to work, and it's not for everybody, and it doesn't have to be for everybody. But we are standing solidly on the ground that that has to be the core of the work that we do. So I invite you to please go throughout the building, look at the remarkable projects going on. People have worked hard. They're so great to be here so that they can talk to you today, so please make them happy. One last thing, a big thank you. Yeah, because I like people to come see me when I have posters up. A big thank you to the Office of Public Engagement, the people who work there, Andy Furco. UROC couldn't work without that. We're also really happy we have a new boss, Provost Hansen. She's nice to us, too. But don't tell her I said so. President Kaler, as always, he came in the first year and said that he supported this initiative, and I believe that he's continuing to support it, and I can't tell you what that means to me. Last but not least, every community partner, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for working with us. So now, this is the fun part for me. It's my pleasure to introduce the University of Minnesota's Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, Karen Hanson. Provost Hansen began her post at the university on February 1st, 2012. Is that all it's been? Oh, wow. Her arrival was a homecoming for her, having earned her bachelor's degree in, get this, philosophy and mathematics at the University of Minnesota. Yeah. She went on to earn both her master's and doctoral degrees in philosophy from Harvard University. As the university's chief academic officer, Provost Hansen is responsible for managing the policies and practices that affect the university's academic life, which is why it was really important for us to be sitting in her office. Her work includes oversight of the university's colleges and academic units, including the Office for Public Engagement and UROC. Since her arrival, Provost Hansen has been a true champion of the university's community engagement work. She encourages us to continue to build mutually respectful university community partnerships that make a long-term commitment to addressing our society's most pressing issues. I am delighted that she is here today to share some words with us, so please welcome Provost Hansen.
Thanks so much, Heidi. I really am pleased to be here and to be part of this program, to have the opportunity to connect with you all. I should mention, my mother was a graduate of North High, and I spent every Sunday at 1701 North Girard, where my grandparents lived, and we had Sunday dinner for all of my childhood. But as Heidi mentioned, I went away for a while. Now I am very, very glad to be back in the community. And as Heidi mentioned, I have responsibility for academic affairs at the University of Minnesota. And last month I had the pleasure of speaking with our Board of Regents about the tremendous progress that the university has made on a number of our goals throughout this past year. One of the key points I was able to make was how important it is for the university to expand and deepen our engagements with our communities. UROC is an outstanding example of what we can do together when the focus is on establishing long-term partnerships instead of limited community projects.
From the start, everyone involved in the building of UROC has been clear that this meant a university committed to work with the community, rather than doing something to the community or for the community or even merely in the community. We collaborate. We work together as partners. These partnerships are crucial as we work to address our most complicated urban challenges, including health disparities, economic development challenges, and achievement and opportunity gaps. One UROC partner program, the African American Leadership Forum, was pivotal in the launch of Generation Next, an unprecedented community-wide collaboration aimed at closing the achievement gap, an opportunity gap, which as we all know, is very large here in Minnesota. The university is also committed to this effort. President Kaler serves as co-chair of the Generation Next board. Turning this around is critically important for all our communities, for the continued excellence and diversity of our student body, for the state's future prosperity. Engagement on a range of complicated, important social issues is both a process and a product of university education. We know from our students that these opportunities to engage with communities transform their educational experiences. So now I'd like to introduce a key new member of my team, someone who oversees a number of university units, including the Office of Student Engagement, which promotes engagement opportunities and works to increase the number of students involved in community-engaged work. As Vice Provost for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, Danita Brown is responsible for providing vision and leadership for services and programs to advance student success, inspire students to contribute to society, to promote an inclusive environment, and thus enrich the university community. She works to ensure a mutually reinforcing relationship between the academic and the non-academic life of students, their life, in other words, as well as to enhance their intellectual, cultural, personal, and social development. Dr. Brown Young joined the University of Minnesota at the end of July, just recently, after 5 years at Purdue University, where she had been Dean of Students since March 2011 and Associate Dean of Students for Counseling before that. She's plunged into her new leadership role with great enthusiasm and energy and formidable wisdom. She has wonderful ideas about how we can improve in a whole lot of dimensions. So please join me for extending a very warm Minnesota welcome to Dr. Danita Brown Young.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. Obviously, I just moved here, and this is my first time here at UROC, and immediately when I pulled into the driveway, I could just feel that energy and feel the love, and I'm just so excited. I mean, instantly, Heidi and Wookie definitely took care of me, so thank you so much. They know what I'm talking about. They're my lifesavers, but absolutely, this is such a wonderful community partnership. And as you know, you cannot spell community without unity. And so when we're talking about our partnerships with the community in our campus, that just gets me so excited, because it's more than just this building, although this building is absolutely gorgeous in the symbolism that it has. It is so vibrant. But it really is about the people. It is about the people in action in what we are doing together, not to each other or for each other, but how we are working together to improve the lives of our children and our families. And that just excites me. And it gives, particularly our students, an opportunity to give back, to challenge them. We focus a lot on their living, learning, and their leadership experience. And this is the type of modeling, when you talk about our community and our campus, that they need to see. So I am just grateful that this partnership, UROC, is making such an impact and a difference in so many people's lives. And I just couldn't stop talking to people. Every time I ran into one of the offices, I was talking with people and listening to their story and understanding their commitment to making this work, because it's very important for our future. So I just thank you so much for having me here, and I look forward to being involved. I'm just so excited, I can't even stop. More and more ideas are forming in my head right now, but thank you, and I look forward to our future. Thank you.
Now you can see why we're glad we snagged her from Purdue. Now it is my great pleasure and privilege to introduce the 16th president of the university, President Eric Kaler.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you to Heidi for all you do. It's a magnificent effort here, and we're so appreciative for your great leadership. Andy Furco, thank you for your engagement, for your strong activity and leadership, all you do to ensure the commitment of the university to this community and this part of Minneapolis. Thank you to all of our community partners who are here today. Your presence really speaks volumes about the importance of this work, the importance of this partnership, and how we work together to make a difference for our communities, our families, and our children. Thank you so much for being here. You probably know that this university is one of the nation's few urban-based land-grant institutions, and that gives us, demands of us, a deep commitment to the health and welfare of Minnesota and of Minnesotans. When UROC opened in 2009, we hoped to strengthen the connection between the university and the north side of Minneapolis, and to develop a collaborative space for university and community partners to work together to address the challenging issues we all face, and we all face those together. With the dedication of our faculty, staff, and students, and working with the expertise and experience in this community, I think we're off to a remarkable start. In addition to UROC, our faculty members are at work in many ways around the state in engaging communities to address our most pressing problems. The Provost mentioned the achievement gap. Making significant progress in that important work, closing that gap, is absolutely essential to our future and the future of the state of Minnesota. I don't think there's a single thing we can do that's more important for our long-term health than closing that gap. Provost mentioned Generation Next. I have the honor of co-chairing that with my terrific partner, Kim Nelson, who is here from General Mills. She has amazing energy, and I'm so grateful for her engagement and her including me as we move this important work forward. At the university, I've asked Professor Michael Rodriguez of the College of Education and Human Development to take the lead inside the U in helping us shape and guide our work in closing the achievement gap. I'm also pleased that Professor Scott McConnell and Professor Rodriguez are working with the Minneapolis Public Schools on early childhood education partnership. That's going to build on programs in this neighborhood to increase the number of children who receive high-quality early education. I'm thrilled that we are part of this and other community engagement efforts that address really a broad range of societal issues and building on everyone's strength together. And you saw in Heidi's presentation many examples of that kind of work. I'm also thrilled to introduce our next speaker. That's a pretty good segue, but not as good as some. Dr. Katrice Albert is the university's Vice President for Equity and Diversity. She joined the university earlier this year from Louisiana State University, where she was the Vice Provost for Equity, Diversity, and Community Outreach. She earned a PhD in counseling psychology from Auburn University. She had a clinical internship at Boston University's Medical School Center for Multicultural Training in Psychology. She earned her Master's of Science degree in counseling psychology from the University of Southern Mississippi, and she earned her bachelor's degree in psychology from Xavier University in Louisiana. And you will soon see that she was born with an engaging smile and a charming personality. While she was at LSU, Katrice was very engaged in a wide range of national and community activities, including board membership in the National Chapter of Volunteers for America, the Manship Theater for the Shaw Center for the Arts, and the YWCA Dialogue on Race, to name just a few. I'll close with this observation. Vice President Albert comes from New Roads, Louisiana, population 4,802. So she's come from New Roads, Louisiana, and with her partnership and our work together, she's going to build some new roads in Minnesota for important work in equity and diversity. That's why she's here. Vice President Albert.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the warm welcome that I've received. I will tell you a little secret. UROC helped sell the job to me. So during the interview process, Heidi took her Sunday and brought me over to UROC and toured me through this space. And I knew that we were on sacred ground. I don't think I got the memo that it was the former home of Lucille's or King's, but I knew we were standing on sacred ground. I came back 3 more times before I told President Kaler yes, and each time I visited UROC. And what I know for sure is that my role as Vice President for Equity and Diversity can't really come to fruition, and I can't achieve the goals without the co-collaboration of community partners. In order to have a town-gown relationship where there is reciprocity and co-collaboration happens for the sake of the community, and then our students can walk over to the U, it's mandatory that I be committed to a space like UROC. So it really helped to sell the job to me. I mean, you know, he was plucking me from Louisiana. This is my first Minnesota winter. What I know for sure is that I'm very excited to be a part of this community, and I'm ready to work. There's an African quote and proverb that I live my life by, and it goes a little something like this: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I'm ready to go far with you. Good afternoon.
Can I hear a woo-hoo for our folks? Thanks, everybody. Please go enjoy some food, go enjoy talking to the fabulous people here. One thing I'd love to ask of you before you go, will the UROC staff who are in the room stand? They're probably out there working. Please, give them a hand. This is a job I can do because these folks are gifted and they use their gifts well. Have a great day. Thank you.